Hi friends, come sit with me and grab your coffee. Today we are in 1 Timothy chapter 5 verses 23 through 25. Buckle up, it's a big one. In this passage, Paul does two things. He reminds Timothy that whether a person's sins are obvious or hidden, or if their good deeds are obvious or hidden, eventually everything will be brought to light someday and judged accordingly. But I noticed something weird here. In verse 22, Paul is talking about not being hasty when appointing a church leader and encourages Timothy to keep himself pure. But in verse 23, he encourages Timothy to drink a little wine for his stomach. And in verse 24, he continues about people's sins and good deeds. Now, that sounds crazy. What's going on? This is why we need to pay attention to what we are reading. Comprehension is incredibly important when we read the Bible. So here was my question. Why does Paul make a random comment about wine while talking about sin and good deeds? This seems really random. The fact is, it wasn't random. And we need to consider the ancient punctuation compared to modern punctuation and the environment Timothy was living in. Paul knew this about Timothy. He was likely abstaining from wine altogether, possibly to set an example of an uncompromising life to the church. He was placing his own health at risk for the sake of setting a good example. He was young, he was highly conscientious, and he practiced extreme self-discipline. Timothy was easily intimidated. He was an anxious person. He was a people pleaser. He was highly focused on physical training, and he was overly sensitive to criticism. Here's where my research starts making sense. In our modern day and the way that writing has evolved and changed over the years, punctuation when writing has changed. And this verse seems completely out of place, but it wasn't. It's a side note for Timothy, a stop in Paul's train of thought mid-sentence to provide necessary health exemption advice. In our modern punctuation rules of writing, when we have a break in our train of thought, we will use parentheses or a footnote. Now, let's rewrite the scripture without changing the message, but including parentheses. Do not share in the sins of others. Keep yourself pure. Open parentheses. By the way, Timothy, don't take this purity thing so far that you ruin your health. Stop drinking only water and use a little wine for your stomach and frequent illnesses. Close parentheses. Remember, the sins of some people are obvious. ... Now, the placing of this weird verse makes more sense, right? But it still seems like a random comment. It wasn't. This is where we need to remember that at that time, they did not have the water purification systems that we have today. Timothy was serious about living pure and about physical training. He was probably only drinking water and nothing else. The water sources of that time were often contaminated by bacteria and parasites, leading to chronic digestive issues. Adding a little wine to the water was common because it aided in killing bacteria and purifying the water to make it drinkable. Without the wine, Timothy was ingesting the contaminated water, causing chronic digestive issues. He had an upset stomach. Paul was not advising Timothy to start drinking. He was saying, you are putting your health at risk for the ministry, but poor health will put the ministry at risk. You cannot properly evaluate hidden or obvious sins if you are permanently bedridden and sick. Our physical well-being takes precedence. It's a prerequisite for the demanding position of leadership. 1 Timothy 5 verses 23 and 25 in the NIV says this. Stop drinking only water and use a little wine because of your stomach and your frequent illnesses. The sins of some are obvious, reaching the place of judgment, ahead of them. The sins of others trail behind them. In the same way, good deeds are obvious, and even those that are not obvious cannot remain hidden forever. Everything will come to light one day, and both the hidden sins and the hidden good deeds. So remember, God even cares about our physical health so we can keep serving well. Thank you so much for joining me today. God willing, I'll see you in the next video. Take some time before then to think about how you care for your own body so that you can keep serving the Lord, and remember that nothing stays hidden forever. And remember, you are deeply loved and highly favored. Have a blessed day. Shalom, shalom.